The Orange failed to defend the 3 and their home court as they fall to NC State. We'll give you that game's fan feedback. And, of course, Joe will let you know what to expect as Syracuse travels to Miami Saturday, February 27th at noon. Let's go.
Make some noise, Orange fans. It's time for the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/Cuse Nation podcast.
All right, what's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to episode 59 of the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe. If you could please subscribe to whatever platform you listen on, that will really help us out and will be in your library as soon as an episode is published. We're trying to give you the most efficient, relative, and current content in this show for Syracuse sports. If you like it, please share it with your family and friends. We much appreciate that. All right. The Orange were dropped by NC State in the Dome, 74-70 in front of 21,125 fans. Brissett led the team with a game-high 25 points. He was 8 for 13 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 5 from 6 from the line. Battle started slow, but he did end up with 17 points, 5 for 14 from the field, 0 for 4 from behind the arc, and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. Mark, he put in some good minutes, but my notable has to go to Matthew Moyer coming in after not playing at all, putting in a solid 28 minutes, finishing with 8 points, 4 for 6 from the line, 4 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Syracuse, as a team, shot 52% from the field, 37% from behind the arc, and a better, but not good enough, 70% from the line. The Orange forced 19 turnovers that turned into 32 points, and they did out-rebound NC State 25-23. That's it for the box score bullet points. Quick facts for this game. Syracuse is 1-7 when it trails at halftime this season. The Orange holds a 7-4 all-time record against NC State, and Battle, Brissett, and Howard rank 1st, 5th, and 6th nationally in average minutes played. Syracuse committed 15 turnovers, snapping a 3-game streak in which they had committed 8 or less per game. Syracuse has given up now 3 buzzer beaters in 3 straight games at the end of first halves. That's a little frustrating.
It's crazy.
It's been hard to watch that at the end of each half the past 3 games. Syracuse
I expect it now.
Yeah, I know, right? Syracuse's current RPI is at 50 now. We've risen 11 points since the last game, and our strength of schedule is at 29 according to real-time RPI. And Battle continues to be dominant from the free throw line. For the past 3 games, he's 29 of 32, 90.6%. That's excellent. Joe.
Yes.
Let's hear your quick game analysis and give me your grade, and then I got a quick question for you to go over. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we definitely lost this game, and that's kind of been. I mean, we lost it as far as we should have won, but our team lost it. You know, we've had games like that where we should have won, and we didn't. And it's because of our own fault. It's nothing but our own fault. And it's not just one thing. It's been a bunch. And then it's been the same thing for when we lost to Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, St. Bonaventure, Notre Dame. It's all just the room for error that this team has is very, very small. And we can't make the mistakes that we make or do the things that we did last night and expect to win games, especially against good teams, and NC State is a good team. The turnovers in the first half, the offensive rebounds that we allowed in the first half killed us. And then second half, I thought it was free throws, and I thought it was their three-point shooting and not finding the guy getting out on the three-point shot. So it was just a multitude of things in which, who knows, if you clean one of the things up, then you never know. So, and there's little things that you can whine about, and with the turnovers, as far as that goes, you're going to have turnovers, and if it comes because the other team forced it or caused it, then that's one thing. But we were actually creating turnovers that NC State really didn't have anything to do with. There were some shoddy travel calls on Merrick that they counted as turnovers.
Should have been fouls. At least one of them I can think of. Should have been a foul.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that there's a possibility because the first half we got out of the 3-point shooters, and although they were getting some offensive rebounds, that was when Chukwu and Sidibe were playing. And as the game went on, Chukwu tweaked his back. Sidibe, his knee wasn't as good as it's been, and lo and behold, we got to throw Merrick in the middle. And I think that we were more worried about Yurtseven and the guys in the middle for NC State and trying to stop the offensive rebounding in the second half, which forced us to basically allow certain 3-point shots to get up. And again, too, we were in shooting free throws with 13 minutes left in the second half, and I didn't think we took advantage of that too much. And although we do miss free throws, going 19 for 27, I mean, we should have had a couple here and there. We shouldn't have missed as many. So there's a couple different things, but overall grade, I'll give them a C+, and that's only just because of the fact that there were so many different things is the reason that we caused it. If you could have came back and said, oh, it was just this one thing and you just had to work on that one thing, this just comes down to consistency and just how multiple things in each half were the reasons why we couldn't, win this game. And again, we were still there tied right there with 33 seconds to go. So yeah, we're killing ourselves, man.
We kind of beat ourselves a little bit last night. So Joe, if you had to pick one of these things that was instrumental most in causing this loss, would it be the injuries? Because we got really thin really quick. Was it the free throws? Was it defending the 3-point shot towards the end, or was it the turnovers? If you had to pick one thing that contributed the most. I know it's tough, but
it is tough because, again, we had so many points off of their turnovers, and they had more turnovers than us anyway. And some of the turnovers we had were caused by NC State, and some of them were caused by bad calls by the refs. So realistically, the thing that we could have controlled the best that would have mattered probably would have been the defense. Just finding the 3-point shooter. I mean,
it's a common problem. I mean, it's not the first time we've seen it. That Sam Hunt guy, right? Right. He averages 4.6 points a game, and we've talked about a guy like that getting a hot hand and beating us, and it happened again. Right. It's not the first time we're talking about it.
Right. I mean, he just hasn't been consistent in this team, and obviously it's a new team, different people.
Just for the record, Joe, I'm sorry. He averages about 4.6. He totaled 14. He's a transfer too, I believe.
Yeah, a graduate transfer from North Carolina A&T, and that's where the same thing with that Elric number 12 there, Elric Freeman. He's a graduate senior from UNC Charlotte, so. You have these two. I mean, these guys have been in college basketball for 5 years. They're 23 years old, and
grown men.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And they went from a lower school and moved up and played for a better school. So you know that they're decent players. I know Matt Park. He tweeted out something about the Sam Hunt guy made like 70 plus threes last year and shot like 95% from the free throw line for North Carolina A&T. So. It's not something that he can't do. He's just been inconsistent this year. And again, it's new coach, new team, so
playing
they're trying to still figure it out. Right, exactly. But either way, they're a good team. I mean, the way that they pressed the whole game and they subbed in and out and they had the guys and reinforcements. I mean, I was nervous about it. And then they started making the threes and they shot, like you said, they shot way over their percentage.
Like they averaged, 30? They averaged like 30 or 33, and they shot 43.
Right. This is one of the rare times this year where we cannot say that the defense played good enough to win the game because the defense was the reason why we lost.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, looking back, 10 turnovers in the first half, a couple really bad, just a lot of whistles. There was no flow to the game early. It seemed a little ridiculous to me. I just got done watching the Duke Virginia Tech game, and it was like a battle royale, and then you go and watch in the same conference with a different group of refs, and it's like just ticky-tack BS all over the place. So with that said, North Carolina started, 7 for 13 from behind the arc in the second half, at 53%, and they finished 10 for 23 overall, 43%. And, like you said with defending the three, and we just talked about, this was a home game. I felt like there's 21,000 people there. I mean, that's a decent crowd.
For 9 o'clock on Valentine's Day, I'd say.
I mean, I felt like Syracuse controlled a lot of that game until they didn't.
Yeah.
Until it got a little late, they looked a little worn out. When Howard was shooting a couple free throws one time, he just looked dejected already. And not that I don't think he gave up anything, but he just didn't look focused, and he looked beat a little earlier than I would have liked him to. We only had a few healthy players alternating, Merrick inside and going with the smallest lineup possible. I thought he did a good job. I think Moyer did.
Considering the circumstances.
Oh, yeah,
Moyer
absolutely.
played great.
I think Moyer did fantastic. He came down on his tailbone and his head.
But whatever.
Yeah, he had a bad turnover and he got yanked. But he came down on the back of his head and he popped right up and went for his free throws, getting them into foul trouble with 13 minutes left in the second half, like you said. They just couldn't capitalize on that, and that was disappointing. I was really excited about that, too. With all the whistles, I figured we'd be able to capitalize on something like that. So, Frank Howard, he's hurt us a little bit the past few games. I think for the past 2 games, let's see. The past 2 games he's combined for 7 from 16 from the free throw line for Wake Forest and NC State. And Wake Forest we pulled out 2 similar games in my opinion. Similarly played, similarly scored, and we pulled out one and we lost the other. And I think it was probably due to defending the three. That was those late shots. I gave them a C- because they're at home, man. They failed to utilize a power up. I mean, when we only have 2 more home games left, and we had 6 games left. You and I talked before. You got to go 3 for 3, I believe, in the last 6 games before the tournament, and we missed one that I think we should have had, and that's why I give them a C-. But if you look at the stat sheet, if you look at the box score, and you didn't know the final outcome, you would have thought we won. We beat them everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what's so frustrating, man. So, a C-. I kind of agree with defending the three. I think hitting the free throws earlier, not just down the stretch, but earlier, would have made a difference at the end. So, I can speculate all I want. I know, I get it. I know.
Well, I look at it like you can't expect 100% free throws.
No, you can't. You can't.
I mean, they missed 8 out of 27.
80's good, though.
Right. So, but either way, I mean, if they hit 2-3 more, that's 80%. And it's still, it doesn't mean we won.
True.
It doesn't mean if we have a couple less turnovers, it doesn't mean with all the turnovers that we did have, they didn't have a lot of points off of our turnovers. So it didn't end up hurting us. So at the end of the day, what they need to do is they need to concentrate and put their effort into what they've been doing best and what's allowed them to stay in games the whole year, which is defense.
Yeah.
You're
right.
At the end of the day, again, we can't sit here and talk like injuries and people being banged up and who we're playing and just the fact of the amount of freshmen and first-time starters, first-time players getting 10, 15-plus minutes plus, in a game. I mean, they're going from getting 10, 15-plus minutes to maybe not even playing to they're expecting to play 30-plus minutes, 20-plus minutes, 25-plus minutes. So you have to be able to kind of look at it. You know what I mean? You can't just put anybody anywhere and, what are people going to expect? Someone else gets hurt and we got to play walk-ons that, they're going to get mad that we lose. Like,
oh, I know.
You know what I mean?
And we'll get into some of that in
you
the
have to put everything into perspective here. Our situation compared to a lot of other schools in the nation is not a very good one at all.
No, I get it.
And we're right there. We still have an opportunity to still make a mark and get into the tournament. So
yeah, it's not done yet. When you hear all these predictions, Joe Lenardi and all these other, some of these, the idiot from Yahoo, and a couple other guys, They're projected. They're trying to predict the future. They're trying to predict the future. This show, we don't talk about the future. We could speculate a little bit, but as of right now, we're in the tournament, in my opinion. You can't say we're not. There's what's there that we haven't done. Now, if you want to go and start projecting into the future and you say, oh, well, if you lose against Miami and then you lose against North Carolina and then you go to Duke, I mean, that's a tough stretch. You could lose all three of those games, but we don't know what's going to happen yet.
Exactly. If people want to look ahead and say, well, they're going to lose to North Carolina, they're going to lose to Duke, they're going to lose to Clemson, they're going to lose to Miami, well, then, yeah, if we lose all those games, then, yes, we are not going to be in the tournament.
Well, we'll be in trouble. Right. We still have an ACC tournament.
Well, we still have the ACC tournament, but why are we talking about game? I mean, if you're a fan, just wait for the game. Watch it. I mean, everyone just watched St. John's. This is not a tournament team who just beat Villanova and just beat Duke, Marquette. I mean, they're on a roll. Beat DePaul last night. They won 4 straight. And they're not going to sniff the tournament unless they win the Big East Conference tournament. And, I mean, they beat those teams. So, if that team can beat them, then we can beat those teams. It's just to just speculate and say, just assuming. Like, I've never understood why a fan would look ahead and speculate like, well, we're not going to make it. We're going to lose that game.
Because they hear the Joe Lunardis out there saying, oh, they're out, their last 4 out, or
just wait for the game to be played.
Oh, I know.
It's going to come up.
That's what I'm saying. Stop paying attention to those guys. Syracuse.com buys into that all the time. The time.
Yeah.
All right. Just for the record, Wake Forest and NC State both shot 8 for 13 from behind the arc against us. Obviously, it's 61%, combined 16-26. Syracuse, in the 6 wins in the ACC, we have 71 assists and 63 turnovers, okay? That's an average of 11.8 and 10.5 on the turnovers. In the 7 games we've lost, the Orange has 59 assists and 94 turnovers. That's an average of 8.4 on the assists and 13.4 on the turnovers. So I just thought that was interesting. We didn't really pick a player of the game because we lost the game, but I think we would be doing an injustice to O'Shea if we didn't mention his night, a career-high 25 points, and he really held the team together. He kept us in that game yesterday. He's the one that brought us back at the end, hitting a huge 3. So I thought that was awesome watching him do that, and I mean, you gotta love that, right? It is in a good point in a loss. The diamond in the rough was O'Shea. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. But either way, it's just one of those things where we have our big 3, and if it can get to the point where these guys get comfortable with each other, the team works together. I mean, these 3 are good enough to be like, you're talking about some of the best top 3 of teams around the country. It's just we don't have the depth. We don't have everything else that goes with being an actual team. Obviously, it's 5-on-5, and you have bench, and we're talking about 3 people, but you're talking about 3 players that are basically carrying us. And, I mean, O'Shea Brissett, just seeing stuff like that, I mean, you see stuff all the time where you kind of, you see it coming. But, I mean, he made 2 threes to tie, and I don't know. It was just, I mean, within, a minute and a half of each other, he had a bunch of steals, created turnovers. But he definitely would look like an NBA-ready player last night, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Good for him, but unfortunate. None of the guys right now are projected first-round draft picks.
Well, no.
So they would be likely to stay. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But a great game for O'Shea, and I'm happy for him. It sucks that he played that good of a game and we lost. But other than that, I mean, what are you going to do?
Seems like a wasted effort, right?
Yeah, kind of. So
you got to give credit when credit's due.
That's right. All right, final thoughts, Joe. Quickly. Nothing?
I really don't have any. Okay. It's just a game that we get away. So now we lost a home one, so we got to go somewhere on the road and pick one up. And
it just makes it that much more difficult, basically.
What better than a noon game down in Miami where we have a whole bunch of snowbirds from New York down there? Yeah, exactly. Retiring to the warmth. So let's just hope that our team can get up and our fans can get there.
That's right. All right, Cuse Nation. It sucks. Keep your heads up. NC State in the mirror. All right, Joe, time for some fan feedback. Are you ready? After the loss? Okay. Brian B. says, the Boeheim era is over. This is not the Big East. JB, as great as he is, has 1,000 wins in our hearts, but he needs to retire. Well, he actually has more than 1,000 wins, and it's in real life. I don't believe in the revisionist history of the NCAA. They could say he's got one win. It doesn't make it so. But retire, I don't know. Everybody's so hard on Jim Boeheim this year. Look what he's dealing with. Look what he's got on his plate.
That's the point. That's the whole point. The point is that the fact that we're even right now where we are is literally like, I mean, you could argue with the depth, the injuries, the youth and inexperience, that this is like one of the best coaching jobs that he's pulled off.
You have a great point with that. I've never even thought about it like that, but that's very true.
You have to. You can only compare a coach to what they're working with. You know, just because you're a good coach doesn't mean that you're gonna win 25, 26 games, be ranked, and go to the tournament every year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're rebuilding off of those sanctions and the loss of scholarships, and with all this player turnover, with people leaving and people going to the NBA early, and now these injuries. Like, this is just a transition year, and for us to even be in the NCAA tournament conversation is amazing to me.
Last year's sanctions is always the toughest. That's when it's everything's boiled down to what you've been able to do or not been able to do in the past 3 years.
Well,
you haven't been able to build anything. So you're grabbing for straws.
Malachi Richardson leaves early. Tyler Lydon leaves early. Torian Thompson.
Geno Thorpe transfers. Geno Thorpe leaves, and we get an injury, and we got two big guys that are just sitting on the bench.
All
right. Douglas says way too many unforced turnovers and missed 3 free throws at home. You have to take care of the ball. Eliminate 5 of these turnovers and make a couple free throws. Cuse wins. I mean, it's speculation, but that's what we do. I have to agree with Douglas on that. You eliminate 5 turnovers because those could turn into points for us. Play D, yeah. I mean, yeah, we know. We've been over the D thing. Douglas, though. Douglas has a point.
No.
Yeah. Douglas has a point.
That's one thing, but what's easier?
Oh, apparently none of it. Apparently none of it's easy because they didn't do any of it yesterday. They did a couple of things really good. That's why I gave him a C-. You gave him a C+, man. That's a little much, man. Don't you think? Don't you think it's a little generous?
No, I don't, because like I said, they're
at home.
They didn't play bad. It was small little things. They didn't. C+ isn't a great grade.
It's pretty good for a loss. A loss.
Considering our opponent and how we came back and how we played.
We did score, we came back from 8 down in like a minute or something like that.
The bottom line is this year is the type of year where if you score 70, you should be winning.
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially with that defense.
You know how many losses we've had this year? If we scored 70, we would have won. We'd already be in the tournament. We wouldn't even be stressing about this stuff. So the bottom line is it's just do what you've done all year. Unless NC State is that good. If that's the offense, them in Kansas are the offenses that crack the code, then NC State's a lot better than what a lot of people think.
Hey, Steve is a ray of sunshine. He says, it could be worse. Look at Pittsburgh. Big fat donut in the ACC.
There you go, Steve. You're my favorite.
Steve.
So
Thank
far.
you. Thank you.
Best one yet.
John C. says, embarrassing to let one. I actually know this guy. I just realized that. Embarrassing to let one guy get that hot and beat you. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. It happens. I think I don't know when you can't recognize the shooter. I don't know. We've stopped it before, too. But you let Sam Hunt go off, and he did.
Well, we also have a situation where we have nobody. Okay, every other team in the nation.
Let's hear Joe's excuse. Go ahead.
It's not even an excuse. Every team in the nation, if someone on the court doesn't do what the coach asks, the coach turns around, looks at the bench, and has options of somebody to put in when someone's not doing their job. Last night, we did not have that. He's got walk-ons. What are you going to do?
Put
Adrian Autry and Devendorf and Jerry McNamara can't suit up. So
Adrian Autry Jr. can.
Come on, man. Next.
All right. Peter says the question is, can this team even make it to the NIT? Come on, Peter. Jeez.
They're already in the NIT, Peter. Get out of here.
Jeez. Go pound sand, Peter.
pick a pickled pepper.
Joseph says it's all about consistency. 4 points was within reach. Let's go Orange. That's a positive attitude I'm talking about, Joseph. It was in reach. Unfortunately, they blew it.
Hey,
Good positive
name,
attitude, though.
Great name, great thought.
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. Another Nick says another brutal loss in a must-win game, typical for the last 2 years. Yeah, I mean it's been a little tough. We've won games we shouldn't. We've won games we shouldn't have too, though.
Yeah, it's not a must-win.
Tim says, yeah, not a must-win. It should have been a win though.
Not yet.
It should have been a win though, and I think that's his point. I'm going to vouch.
Well,
for Nick there.
I once had a friend that said if ifs and buts were candy and nuts,
we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
So
is that my brother?
You know.
Tim,
some
idiot.
goon I do a podcast with.
Oh, okay, that was me. I was going to say my brother got it from me. Tim says, "Got to win."
Brothers never said that.
Got to win them home games. Not looking good for March. Yeah, well, yeah, we can talk about that all day. I'm going to skip right
he
over.
Could have been a lot negative.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's a lot of negative stuff after a loss.
Well, he could have been a lot worse. That's what I'm saying. That's not a bad one.
True,
I can take that. I can deal with that.
True. And I'm skipping over the Frank Howard bashing because I have a soft spot for Frank Howard because he's improved so much this year.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's my point.
So
looking from where he's went to, he went from the doghouse to doing what he's doing, and it's like God, like
calm down, everybody. You know, calling for his retirement. He's retirement.
Well, of course he's going to transfer because he's not good enough.
Yeah, right.
It's like it don't make no sense.
Clayton just said, just punch your ticket to the NIT. He must be listening to Joe Lenardi too. All right, one more. Can I find a positive one on here? What's going on? Oh, Richard. He makes a point we've made, but I'm going to throw it out there. They beat us with 3-pointers in the last 2 minutes. Richard, you nailed it. That's exactly what they did. All right, go to Facebook.com. Yeah, right. Facebook.com/Cuse Nation podcast. I didn't do it yesterday, but I usually put the grade out that I have on the box score, and I post that there. You can comment there. We'll use those comments too if you want to get on the show. So get after it. All right, Joe, heading to Miami. Saturday, February 17th at 12 o'clock, high noon, at Wasco Center.
Wasco.
What do you got? What do you got on the Hurricanes?
The Hurricanes. Well, Hurricanes right now are 18-7 and 7-6 in the ACC. They are actually on a downward slide. They were ranked as high as 6th earlier in the season. I don't think they had a very difficult non-conference, and I remember actually questioning their ranking and how good they were when they were coming into ACC play because they didn't really play anybody. But looking at the numbers, I mean, Ken Pom has him up at 37. He has us at 50. And as far as the real-time RPI, they're also a little bit higher there. They're 30th, and we're 50th. So obviously, us being away, this is going to be a quadrant 1 game for us. And again, like I said, they're on a little bit of a skid. They've lost 2 in a row. They lost at Boston College and lost home against Virginia. And
it just makes them. It can make them dangerous too.
Well, and that's the whole thing. One of the key things to look at basically is one of their better players there, Bruce Brown. He fractured his foot. He did something to his foot, and he had to have surgery. And it's definitely changed their team a little bit. I read an article with Jim Larinaga, their coach, being quoted as thinking that the fatigue's starting to set in. A couple of their younger guys have kind of hit a wall, and he can just tell in practice that the energy and just the attention to detail and stuff is kind of lacking. And this is straight from the coach.
That's crazy that a coach would go off like that.
Yeah,
maybe he's using his motivation though.
He could be. It's just tough because again, this is one of the teams that I just think that we have a chance of beating. I know it's at home and everything like that. They're a little of a deep team. They have 7
depth
players.
Doesn't worry me though. It doesn't.
Well, no, it shouldn't. I mean, it's looking at the stats. They have 7 players that average over 8 points per game. But then when you put in the fact that Bruce Brown, the guy who got hurt, is out, and their other leading scorer, Huell, DeJuan Huell, he's a 6'11" sophomore. He started the season, especially ACC, off great. And I mean, up until I know I read last game against Virginia, I don't even think he had a point. So he's starting to fall off too. They do have that Vasiljevic who beat us.
Who?
Vasiljevic. He's
who?
Little white shooting guard that drained some threes in the dome, hit like 6 threes or something like that, and I think beat us a couple years ago. So they do have those 3-point shooters. But I honestly feel pretty good about it after I read that article. I don't know if it's the Miami Herald or where I read it.
Hey,
but
that could be some reverse psychology going on.
Well, either way, yeah. I mean, coaches do what they got to do to motivate their players. Yeah. But I mean, right now they have a tournament resume. But obviously being in the ACC and only at 18-7 with not a very difficult looking strength of schedule from what I saw. They need to win too. Yeah, 60th strength of schedule. So
holy cow! What they have? They play in non-conference.
That's what I'm saying. I thought that's why they climbed to 6, because they didn't lose in the non-conference. I'm sure they had a couple tough games, but
60's bad though. That's double what we got. We're at 29, so yeah.
Right. So I don't know what kind of wins they have. Because that's why they had, Joe Lunardi had NC State in above us. And if you look at our numbers, the RPI strength of schedule record, we were all right. It's just NC State has beaten Arizona and Duke and North Carolina.
Yeah, they've got big wins.
Exactly. And so with Miami, I think they're looking, again, for some signature wins because they didn't really get a lot of opportunities in the non-conference. And obviously in the ACC play, they're 7-6. So they're right there bouncing around 500. But again, with that injury to Bruce Brown, who's one of their better guards, better players, and their 6'11" sophomore there, DeJuan Huell, kind of falling off a cliff. And then just off of what I read, it doesn't look like Miami is, even close to what they were, a month and a half ago. So it's something to look forward to. But again, who knows what kind of situation we're going to be in? Who knows what Sidibe's knee is going to feel like? And
I don't think we could be without both. Something popped in Chukwu's back. That's not good, dude. I've had that happen. You usually don't. I know they got great trainers and medical staff at the university there, but any normal guy's probably not coming back 2 days after something pops in your back like that.
Well, I mean, if you're talking pop, if it was
that's what he
serious,
said. Those were his words.
Well, pop, it could just be a pull. You know what I'm saying? If it was a pop and they were worried about some type of spinal situation, then they never would have let him.
Oh, it's probably just I'm talking about a muscle.
It's probably just lower back muscle popped it, and with a team like Syracuse Division I with the technology they have now, all he's going to be doing is basically getting treatment. He's not going to be practicing. He's not going to be doing anything. He's going to be getting treatment all the way up to the point where he's going to play, and hopefully that he can give him 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like, that's pretty much going to be what it's going to be. He's not going to be 100%. He'll be stiff. You know how it is. But he's going to be better than what he was in that game. So,
all right.
But again, like you said, it could be something worse. And who knows if, like you said, we could be without both. So,
I mean, yeah, it didn't look good the other night. I tell you that. All right. Any final thoughts heading into Miami, Joe? I'll give it to you because I don't have nothing. Win.
Well, yeah. Again, like I said, winning this game, I think it erases the NC State loss. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I think then
it'll be fun to do fan feedback and get the total opposite of what we just went through.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. Is last week wasn't a must win. This week isn't a must win. But if we don't get this win, then we're going to start getting into some must wins.
Absolutely, and they only get tougher here for a little bit. So
yeah.
All right. Exactly. Well, I'm going to watch the duels and drink a couple beers.
Doolies.
And that's it. Let's look forward to Saturday. Go Cuse. Hopefully they win. Go to facebook.com/Cuse Nation podcast. Thumb us up there, please. If you want to go to Twitter, we're working on the Twitter thing. If you want to go to Twitter, it's @Cuse Nation Show. is our Twitter handle.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, we're getting better at it. So that's it. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out. Later.
Peace.
You just heard the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe.